Hi, I'm Steve Whaley with Bluebird, and welcome to A Bird's Eye View. In this episode, we're actually going to do a follow-up on the fuel cost savings, and now we're going to add in the maintenance cost savings of operating propane buses. Here with me today is Anthony Jackson from Bibb County, and thanks for coming in for the follow-up, Anthony. I really appreciate it.
Steve, thanks so much for having me.
No, we had such a good time last time, and so many people wanted the follow-up, so we had to do this, round two.
Absolutely, there's a lot of good information.
It is. So let's do a little bit of a recap here. Bibb County in Georgia, you started propane in
2013.
So you're a little above 80% of your fleet is operating on propane now.
That is correct.
You've been replacing, in your replacement, you don't buy any more diesel, do you?
We don't buy any more diesels.
Okay.
We do mix in a few unleaded
gas burners then.
burners. Yeah,
Okay.
gas burners.
Sure thing. All right. So when we talked last time, we were doing some measurement between your diesel cost and your propane cost on the fuel. So you buy your propane and in bulk, because now with your fleet growing, you don't have your small storage tanks. You have
Much larger tanks.
much larger tanks.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the whole buy in bulk and save money.
Absolutely.
Thing. So let's recap our fuel cost. In the last 12 months, you spent how much on propane?
So I'm going to use my cheat sheet here.
Okay. Well, yeah, very good.
So in propane, we spent just shy of $800,000.
Okay, so we have $800,000 in fuel costs.
And then
We have
$260,000 in diesel.
$260,000 in diesel. So how many miles did you go on propane, and how many miles did you go on diesel?
So we travel a little less than 400,000 miles on the diesel buses,
Okay.
and actually a little over. I gave a number that was off earlier, a little over 2 million miles on our propane buses.
Okay. So if we have $790,000, almost $800,000 in propane costs, and we go 2,053,000 miles, that gives us a 39 cents per mile cost basis for operating propane.
Correct.
Okay. So on your diesel fuel, you went 393, almost 400,000 miles,
100,000.
and you spent $260,000. So that gives us a per mile of 66 cents a mile.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now if I do my math in my head here, 66 cents a mile for diesel,
You do it in your head, and I'm going to look at my sheet and I'll tell you if you're right.
39 cents per mile for propane, then we're saving 27 cents a mile.
27 cents a mile.
Okay. And that's where we got a lot of feedback about, whoa, we didn't know, how much we were saving. But I've talked to quite a few school districts and asked them the same question since our last podcast when we did this. And I posed the same ones to them. And we're actually averaging about 25 cents a mile. Some of them are more, some of them are less, but we're averaging about 25 cents a mile.
Yes.
And with your situation, driving 2 million miles, then we're at $500,000 of savings every year.
Absolutely.
And I think I asked you, they had a bus statue of you at the school district.
Absolutely
being a
not.
hero.
Absolutely not.
And don't forget to check out the new Bluebird merch store. We've got hats, wearables, even plush buses. You can check it out at the URL here listed.
All right. So we're going to follow up now with maintenance.
Yes.
During this same 12-month period where we accumulated those 2 million propane miles and the diesel miles at almost 400,000, you added up all of your maintenance costs for your diesel and all of your maintenance costs for your propane. What do those numbers look like?
So for the diesel, we spent a little over, or actually almost $180,000
Okay.
in maintenance costs there. And for our propane, almost $460,000 in costs there for the propane buses.
Okay. So with 180,000 in maintenance costs, and they go 400,000 miles, and that's 45 cents a mile
Mm-hmm.
in maintenance for your diesel
For
fleet.
diesel, absolutely.
Okay. So you went 2,053,000 miles on propane, and you spent $456,000 on your maintenance.
Correct.
Now, when I divide that out, that comes out to 22 cents.
22 cents per mile.
45 cents a mile on diesel, 22 cents a mile on propane. If that math works out again, then that's another
23 cents per mile.
23 cents a mile maintenance on savings on maintenance.
Savings, exactly.
Okay. 23 cents a mile on maintenance, 27 cents a mile on fuel savings. Now, if I add that up, that's 50 cents a mile.
50 cents per mile in cost savings.
And that's 2 million miles a year. So $1 million a year in fuel and maintenance cost savings compared to running your fleet on diesel when you run it on propane?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I would encourage anyone to take that step, take that leap. The proof of concept is out there.
I think it's beyond a proof of concept here. I think
it's
I
out
think
there.
that bust statue of you ought to be a full body.
I doubt if any of that's going to happen, but I would welcome it.
At the Scotch Street. You're going to be the hero there.
I would welcome it, but I doubt if any of that's going to happen. I'm good with that. I enjoy the work.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy stepping out there and taking those first steps, and I'm curious like that.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to running propanes, we're about to introduce 15 EV buses to the fleet as well. So
Terrific.
We love these opportunities.
And you're putting the EV buses on the right route.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
propane buses on the right route. And
Absolutely.
what I mean by right, we want to match the powertrain, the range, the duty cycle of that to what's going to be best for it, because it's not going to be a fleet of just one thing.
That's
I'm
true.
convinced that we're going to have, some, and you even said you had some gasoline vehicles as well.
Yes.
And I've talked to other fleets that they put their gasoline on certain routes where they're taking vehicles home, because they're not going to set up a propane or an EV charger out that way. So they have those for gasoline. The electric vehicle routes are going to be different. How far do you go on propane?
Oh, we will go anywhere on propane. We're not afraid to travel in our propane buses.
All right, so give me an example.
So an example of traveling from Macon, Georgia to Washington, D.C., or Macon, Georgia to South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And we just plan the trip. It's not an extensive labor or hard labor to plan those fueling opportunities that will present themselves. The propane infrastructure in particular is much broader today than it was even in 2013. Sure. So the opportunities to fuel at a reasonable cost. A lot of times we're able to work with our supplier, and we're able to purchase the fuel at remote locations at the same cost that we would pay if we were fueling on site at our facility.
Okay,
So it's not a huge challenge at all to refuel propane buses out on route.
Okay, now you've got your electric buses coming in, so you're going to be charging them at your place.
We will be charging them at our place. Once again, based on the application, we're going to be very strategic and careful with those as we learn. Same thing that we did with the propane buses. The first couple of years, we were filling it out and seeing exactly what we could do. We're going to do the same thing with the EV buses. We're going to make sure we're placing them on the most advantageous routes. And then we will probably at some point venture out, as we see how they work on those routes, venture out into doing some local field trips. At this point, I can't say I see a time with this first purchase that we will be venturing far outside of the county with these units.
Got your
But
propane to cover
as
that.
we learn, absolutely. As we learn more and more about it, we'll make sure we just utilize it to put forth the most efficient operation that we possibly can.
Okay. Well, we're going to have you gather your numbers because we're going to come back and we're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I love it.
With EV to find out what we're saving in energy cost and maintenance and do the same project.
Awesome.
I'll hold you to it.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate the recap here on bringing in the maintenance cost savings and adding them to the fuel cost savings to let everybody else know what they can do for their school districts.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
And that's a bird's eye view of how we can save with alternative fuel vehicles, not just with the energy costs, but also the maintenance.